Is grading worth it? Hot take. No, it is not. Unless you're trying to make an extra buck, I think it completely takes away from the artwork on the card. I think that it is more of a status symbol than a collector's item. I don't care for it. I mean, mainly because PSA subs just look so ugly, but I definitely would rather have the card raw than not graded, even in a tag or anything like that, or Beckett, Black Label. There are few instances that can be excused, but otherwise, no. The new printing center will not affect the markets. Doubtful, but it depends on how crazy this market keeps staying the way it is. Even with this downtrend, there's still products not in stores. There's still scalping. It has slowed down a little bit from what I can see on Facebook Marketplace, but I think it's either going to make it worse or just keep going along the same trend. That's my hot take. PSA is doomed. That I don't think so. Unfortunately, it has gotten to the point where their slabs are still so heavily moved and liquid that it is very difficult for me to say that they are doomed. Now, even with the FTC thing from one of the senators and even with the scamming that has been blatantly obvious, I still think that it's not going to be enough. If we had every single TCG store or LCS store join in on the fight and stop submitting, there might be some changes that could happen. I don't know. But tag is kind of looking pretty good. I was going to say Beckett, but then that just changed too. Ugh. Do you honestly think that sealed product will be available again readily in stores? I personally am going to keep saying no, but once that new facility is built, it's possible. It just depends on how much more they're going to print, but also depends on how much more the market is going to allow people to buy and flip product immediately. That's where the biggest play is that we keep seeing with this market that will keep the sealed product off of the shelves for people to just go readily buy. But who am I to tell the future? Vintage is king, period. But when does the line cross between being vintage and not being vintage? Because now we have a lot of products that still haven't been printed in a long time, and they're not considered vintage. GX cards, mid-era stuff. Where's the line? Where does it cross? Is vintage only going to be, fossil and below, or base set 2 and below, or, who knows? All of the markets are manipulated. Yes, every single market. There has some sort of manipulation inside of it, so they can be manipulated. So why wouldn't they be manipulated? You tell me, because from what I can tell, it's everywhere. eBay, TCG Player, Alt, any other buying, selling market on there. Why isn't there shill bidders? Even Whatnot, Drip, it happens all over the place. Why wouldn't it be manipulated if it can be manipulated? Especially over things that aren't even very expensive. Wouldn't it trickle down into the more expensive stuff? I don't know. Okay, anyone that lives in the DFW area can agree with this. We have way too many card shows out here. I couldn't even explain to you how and why it has exploded so much. When I go in TCG or trade card database, other apps, whatever it may be, where I can see all the card shows in other states, cities, it's crazy. It is mind-blowing. There are at least 2 to 4 shows every weekend here. Every weekend. At least 2 to 4. You go to Austin, it's maybe 1 every weekend. There's probably a weekend that gets skipped. Go to other states, full states only have maybe 4 to 6 card shows a month. So 1 to 2 weekends where they're missing shows. I don't understand. I don't get why the market's so crazy here, but it is. Way too many. Got to bring it down a notch, DFW. Just a smidge. Yes, I do think selling cards on Whatnot is cringe. Now, that being said, I am a hypocrite because I have sold cards on Whatnot before. Now, I have not done necessarily what you may see with these crazy surprise sets, or I did do dollar starts, but trust me, I did not come out on top on that at all. Some people just got extremely good deals. But the people that do it correctly, as far as wanting to make money, it is definitely something where people are a lot of times overpaying for cards, or not exactly sure what they're getting as far as condition when it's not completely upfront from the seller. There's just some gray areas. So it has its place. It's definitely, people like to gamble. Straightforward. So you want to gamble, go to Whatnot. You're going to run into some crazy players and some crazy sellers when you deal with the gambling. It just comes with the territory. Oh yeah, the original Pokemon movies need to be remade. I think they need to remake them truly from what they were. Even from the other remake that they did, the technology's there. Let's just do it. Come on, why not? It would be amazing. It would go crazy. Everyone would love it. But it needs to be to the original. None of this remaking, changing things to accommodate to whatever wokeness. I don't care. It needs to be remade the way they are, just with better graphics or live action, and it would be a hit. Everyone would love it. Everyone would go crazy. I would go crazy. Do it. Just do it. Super hot take. The video games are better than the card games. I love the video games. I grew up on the video games. I grew up on Red and Blue. That's what I started on. My first Game Boy Color. I got Pokemon Red. My brother got Pokemon Blue or Gold, maybe. I can't remember exactly what it was. Yeah, anyways, the video games are top notch. The cards are mid. Logan Paul destroyed the TCG community when it comes to Pokemon. 1000% agree with this, and 1000% will tell you why. Because the attention that he brought with the allegedly fake opening, fake box that he got, fake whatever it was with the first edition base set whatever box. He brought the scalper mentality. He brought the prices up on everything. Everything that whenever he got into it and got everyone else involved as far as people just wanting to make a buck, it's destroyed it. I blame him. I don't care. Yeah, Facebook Marketplace is pretty lit, I won't lie. I've gotten a lot of my collection and stuff off of Facebook Marketplace. It really just depends on what you're looking for. But even then, it has everything. And now, I am spoiled because I'm in the DFW area. It's oversaturated with Pokemon stuff. But it is also oversaturated with everyone that thinks they're a vendor and wants to do trades at 80% off of a Facebook Marketplace sale, which is ridiculous because you're both having to do the same amount of work when it comes to driving, meeting up, and everything. It didn't take you that long to make that listing. Singles are just way better than the sealed product. I don't care how much sealed product is worth. The singles bring the art out of Pokemon. They bring people into Pokemon because of the artwork. They're always going to be better. They're always going to be more fun. I don't care what anyone says. Sealed product is just blah. There's some cool things, but then a lot of them, they're cool after you open it. What's inside is cool. How they designed the box even. How you get shown the items inside. How they're portrayed. It's only better when it's open. Singles are better. I think that people are more concerned about the type of Pokemon that's on the card versus the actual artwork itself. If it's a Mewtwo, it's going to be a better valued card than if it was a Baxcalibur or a Feraligatr. But if the artwork of the Feraligatr is absolutely incredibly insane, it still doesn't warrant any type of value out of the card. Now, understandable, people are much more concerned with the base Pokemon because that's what everyone knows and grew up on. I get it. But I think the artwork should be coming more into play with the value of the card. Like the Seismitoad. That card should not be worth $250, $300 when it was at its peak, but it has retained a lot of its value because the artist is such a renowned artist. So I'm hoping the scales have been tipping so that the artwork is more of a purveyor. But another example is the Lycanroc. Some people don't think it's that great. I think it's great. It just depends on your flavor. Pokemon is releasing way too many sets. Way too much, way too frequent. I think it's crazy. There's no build up. And I think that they're getting a little too money drunk off of these sets coming out that just keep selling out every time they make one. It is going to be the boy who cried wolf. We're just going to see it so much and then it's going to be meh. And especially when that new facility gets built, who knows how often we're going to get sealed product or stuff to open that we're going to get so oversaturated we won't care anymore. That causes it to not be as valuable.